Hello, everyone, and welcome to Inner Spark, the place where real stories meet powerful lessons for life. This is the transformation story of Jacob, a man who always complained about life until a series of events turned his world upside down and made him discover gratitude. Through friendships, failures, and surprising moments, he learned that every small blessing counts. By the end, Jacob's life became proof that gratitude opens doors that complaining keeps locked. And before we dive deep, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Inner Spark so you never miss a story that could light a fire in your heart. Jacob had always been the type of man who noticed what was missing rather than what was present. When he walked into his office every morning, he would sigh at the broken coffee machine instead of greeting his colleagues with warmth. He would mutter about the traffic on his commute, about his bland lunch, and about the endless paperwork that piled on his desk. To him, life felt like a long list of irritations waiting to be voiced. His friends often joked about his constant negativity, but Jacob didn't find it funny. In his eyes, he wasn't complaining. He was simply pointing out how unfair the world could be. One rainy Monday, Jacob sat in his small flat in Manchester, staring at his phone. He had just scrolled through social media, where everyone seemed happier, richer, and more successful. He slammed the phone down, muttering, "Why is everyone else doing better than me?" His thoughts spiraled as he tallied up the things he lacked. No promotion, no exciting holidays, no perfect relationship. It didn't matter that he had a steady job, a roof over his head, and a loyal circle of friends. In Jacob's world, what he didn't have always spoke louder than what he did. One evening, Jacob met his old school friend, Sophie, at a cafe. She had just recovered from a serious illness and carried a light in her eyes that he didn't understand. Over coffee, she listened patiently to his string of complaints about work, money, and the weather. When he finally paused, she smiled gently and said, "You know, Jake, I nearly lost my life last year. Every morning I wake up, I thank God I'm breathing. Gratitude changes everything." Her words struck him, but he brushed them aside, muttering, "Easy for you to say." Still, her joy lingered in his thoughts long after their meeting ended. The following week, Jacob's company announced layoffs. He wasn't on the list, but his closest colleague Ben was. Ben packed his things with quiet dignity, shaking hands with everyone before leaving. Jacob, watching from his desk, was shocked by how calm Ben seemed. At the pub later, Jacob asked, "Aren't you angry? Don't you feel cheated?" Ben smiled and said, "Of course I'm sad, but I'm grateful for the years I worked there. I'll find something new." For Jacob, it was unsettling. Why did people who lost so much still speak about gratitude? One sleepless night, Jacob remembered Sophie and Ben's words echoing in his head. He opened his journal, a notebook he had barely touched, and scribbled, "What do I actually have?" Slowly, he listed things: a stable flat, health, friends, family who called him often. For the first time, he realized he had more than he gave credit for. But the next morning, he slipped back into complaining when the train was late. Change didn't come easily. Old habits had dug deep into him, and it was as if complaining was stitched into his personality. The turning point came unexpectedly. On his way home, Jacob saw a homeless man sitting outside a convenience store, clutching a sign that read, "Grateful for any help." Jacob paused. The man smiled at him, even before Jacob gave him anything. That smile, full of warmth despite hardship, rattled something inside Jacob. He handed him a sandwich, and the man said, "Thank you, mate. This means the world." Walking away, Jacob felt a pang of shame. If this man could express gratitude while having almost nothing, what excuse did Jacob really have? The next day, Jacob tried something different. He woke up and decided to write down 3 things he was grateful for before leaving his flat. They were small things: his warm bed, the cup of tea he had in the morning, and the call from his mother the night before. As he scribbled them down, he didn't feel much at first, but throughout the day, whenever he caught himself complaining, he forced himself to revisit that list. Slowly, he noticed that it softened his tone, even when talking to others. Days passed, and Jacob kept the practice. His co-workers noticed the change. "You're less moody these days," one joked. Jacob laughed awkwardly, realizing they were right. Instead of starting conversations with complaints, he began asking people how they were. He started to notice small things, the kindness of a stranger holding the door, the way sunlight broke through clouds, the taste of fresh bread. They were details he had ignored before, drowned out by the noise of negativity. It wasn't magic, but it felt like a quiet revolution in his mind. Still, life didn't stop testing him. One morning, his car broke down on the way to work. The old Jacob would have cursed loudly, vented to everyone, and ruined his day. This time, though, he paused. He took a deep breath and thought, at least I wasn't in an accident. At least I have roadside assistance. When he shared the story at work, his colleagues were stunned at his calmness. Inside, Jacob realized gratitude wasn't about pretending bad things didn't happen. It was about choosing to see what remained. As weeks turned into months, Jacob's friendships deepened. Sophie noticed the difference and smiled, saying, "See, I told you, gratitude changes everything." But Jacob still had moments of weakness. At times, the old habit of grumbling crept back. Yet now, he caught himself sooner. It was as though gratitude had become a muscle, growing stronger each time he used it. What surprised him most was how his mental health improved. The anxiety that once hovered like a storm cloud began to clear. Gratitude, he realized, was like sunlight breaking through fog. Then came a twist Jacob didn't see coming. His father fell seriously ill and was rushed to hospital. For days, Jacob sat by his bedside, watching the machines and feeling helpless. The fear was suffocating. But amid the worry, he held his father's hand and whispered thanks for every memory they had shared. Each day his father survived. He felt gratitude flood him like never before. It wasn't about pretending things were fine. It was about cherishing what was still there. Gratitude, in that hospital room, became his anchor. When his father eventually recovered, Jacob's perspective shifted even deeper. He no longer measured his life by promotions or possessions, but by the moments he still got to experience. Simple Sunday dinners, phone calls from friends, and morning walks became treasures. He realized that life's beauty was often quiet, easily overlooked when he focused only on complaints. Now, he slowed down enough to notice them, and that awareness made every day feel fuller. Gratitude wasn't just healing him, it was reshaping his life. Jacob started sharing his practice with others. At work, he suggested gratitude exercises during stressful team meetings. At first, people laughed, but soon they admitted it helped them shift focus. In his social circle, he encouraged friends to share one thing they appreciated each day. Slowly, Jacob realized his change wasn't just personal, it was contagious. Gratitude, like a spark, spread through his relationships, and people began to reflect the same energy back to him. But challenges didn't disappear. A project at work collapsed after months of effort, leaving Jacob exhausted and disappointed. For a moment, the old habit tempted him to complain, to blame, to sulk. Yet he paused and wrote in his journal, "I'm grateful I learned new skills. I'm grateful my team supported me. I'm grateful this isn't the end." That shift didn't erase the setback, but gave him strength to move forward. Gratitude, he discovered, didn't cancel pain. It helped carry him through it. The change in Jacob even surprised his family. His mother told him, "You've become calmer, more thoughtful. It's like you finally enjoy life." Jacob hugged her, realizing she was right. Gratitude had softened his edges, turning complaints into conversations and worries into wisdom. He understood now that gratitude wasn't just about being polite or positive. It was about building resilience, joy, and peace in a world that was often unpredictable. It was the anchor he never knew he needed. But the real test came months later when Jacob received a sudden promotion at work, one he had dreamed of for years. Instead of boasting or complaining about the extra responsibilities, he paused and reflected on his journey. Standing in his new office, he whispered, "I'm grateful for every step that brought me here, even the hard ones." That moment marked the full circle of his transformation. Gratitude no longer felt like a practice. It had become part of who he was. As life moved forward, Jacob understood something profound. Complaining had never changed his circumstances, but gratitude had changed him. It gave him strength in pain, joy in simple things, and peace even in uncertainty. Gratitude didn't erase challenges, but it gave him eyes to see blessings hidden within them. That change radiated into his work, his relationships, and his sense of purpose. Jacob's story is a reminder to us all. Complaining drains us, but gratitude sustains us. When we shift our focus from what's missing to what's present, we unlock peace, resilience, and joy. Gratitude doesn't mean life becomes perfect. It means we choose to see the light even in imperfect days. And maybe, just like Jacob, you too can start today with one simple step. Write down what you're thankful for and let gratitude guide your journey forward. And if this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Inner Spark, your daily spark of motivation and wisdom. Glowing Star,